Once elected, they just realized that they were in control. What I'm about to share may surprise you, even shock you. If you're watching this video right now, it's no coincidence. God brought you here because something powerful is happening in your life. You're going from wanting to having. Yes, you heard me right. The very things you have been praying for, hoping for, and waiting for are no longer just wishes on the horizon. They are moving toward your reality. This is more than a simple change of mindset. It is a spiritual and energetic transformation. As a chosen one, you'll start to see how things come together at a speed that will leave you speechless. But you must understand how this works so that you can align with this powerful shift and walk fully toward the manifestation of your desires. Before we dive into this transformative message, take a moment to pause this video and do 3 things. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment with the number 11. This number will send a powerful signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of this video. And remember, if you really are a chosen one, you will see this video until the end, because deep down your spirit already knows that this is for you. If you are not ready to receive this truth, you may not make it to the end. But for those who do, your life will never be the same. Now let's get to the point. Elect, in a world where lies are whispered like sweet lullabies, the power of truth is a force that cannot be ignored. People may cling to false narratives because they feel comfortable, or because it's easier to believe a lie than to face a difficult truth. But the truth, as painful as it is implacable. It does not bow to opinions or conveniences. It remains steadfast, no matter how many people try to bury it. Those who speak the truth often face the toughest resistance because the truth upsets the status quo. However, the power of truth lies not in the acceptance of others, but in its undeniable ability to reshape reality. While the world spins in circles of deception, the chosen ones stand firm in the truth. They know that the world may mock them, call them fools or madmen, but none of this changes the truth they hold. They hold the key to clarity, to raw, unfiltered reality. While others surrender to comfort and illusion, the chosen ones continue to walk the narrow path of authenticity. They are the ones who have seen through the veils of deception before anyone else. This clarity is not a luxury, it is a responsibility. And while it is a heavy burden to carry, it is the power that will finally shine when the lies around us crumble. The time is approaching when the world will no longer be able to deny the truth. As the lies crumble, the truth will rise like the dawn, no longer buried under the weight of denial. The chosen ones are the bearers of this truth and will remain as pillars when the storm passes, unshaken in the face of the chaos that surrounded them. Remember the times when people laughed at you, mocked your ideas, and disdained your clarity as foolishness? When did you try to warn them, but your words fell on deaf ears? It was painful, wasn't it? But it was also necessary. You were ahead of your time, and those who couldn't see what you saw had to mock, belittle, and disdain to protect their fragile egos. But now, the tide has turned, hasn't it? The same people who once despised you are starting to change and don't have the courage to admit they were wrong. Instead, they begin to ask questions, to seek the same answers they laughed at before. This change is bittersweet. While you may feel somewhat vindicated, you know that your goal was never to prove someone wrong. It wasn't about being right, but about helping others see what you already knew. You didn't seek recognition or validation. All he wanted was for the world to understand before it was too late. People cling to the lies around which they have built their lives, and that is frightening. It's easier to reject clarity than to face the uncomfortable reality it brings. And so, they turn away from you, disdaining your wisdom as radical or extreme, clinging to the false comforts of your illusions. But what they don't understand is that clarity is not a threat. It's a gift. It is the ability to see things as they really are, without distortion or prejudice. It is the freedom to make decisions based on truth rather than fear. While they are blinded by denial, you remain in the light of reality, knowing that your clarity will finally set you free. You don't need their approval, because the truth you carry is undeniable. It doesn't need validation. It simply waits for those willing to open their eyes and see it. The rejection of clarity is only temporary. Sooner or later, the truth has a way of breaking through. The lies you've clung to will collapse, and in the end, those who rejected you will come in search of the same answers they once ridiculed. They may never admit it, but they will seek the wisdom you have always had, knowing that it was you who held the key to the truth they refused to face. There is power in silence. In a world that thrives on noise, constant chatter, and the need to be heard, silence becomes a weapon. The elected officials understand that silence is not a sign of weakness, but of strategy. While others rush to speak out to defend themselves or prove their worth, the elected remain calm. They know that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is do nothing. In their silence, there is clarity, patience, and strength. They don't need to explain themselves because their actions speak louder than any words. When the world demands answers, the elect wait. They do not rush to answer because they know that the truth need not be forced. It will reveal itself in due time. They know that while others churn for validation, they silently observe, understanding and preparing. His silence is not indifference, it is trust. It is the knowledge that the truth will eventually come out. And when that happens, their silence will be the strongest voice in the room. When the time finally comes, when the truth is undeniable and the world awakens to reality, the elect have always known it. Silence is not born of fear or uncertainty, but of the calm that precedes the storm, of the unshakable confidence that truth will always prevail, no matter how noisy the world becomes. There comes a time in every journey when the truth can no longer be hidden, when carefully crafted illusions crumble, and the reality you have always known is forced to come to light. For those elected, this is a moment of accountability. The world that once rejected its wisdom, the world that denied its clarity, now faces the undeniable truth. The winds of change have shifted, and all that was once hidden is now exposed. Those who mocked you, belittled your ideas, and questioned your judgment now struggle to understand what they see. But you always knew this moment would come. This is a time for which you have quietly prepared yourself. While the world was busy with its distractions, you stood firm, holding the truth close to your heart, knowing that at the right time, everything would line up. Now, as the lies unravel and the false narratives dissolve, you remain unshaken, lifted up by the same truth that others have struggled to deny. You have weathered the storm, and now you are the one to whom others look for guidance. The moment of accountability has arrived, and those elected are ready for it. This is not a time for vainglory, but for quiet reflection. You have not walked this path out of recognition. You walked because you believed in something bigger than yourself. Now, as the world begins to see what you've always seen, you know that this accountability isn't just for you, it's for everyone. It is the moment when clarity prevails and reality is uninvited but necessary. Lies have an impressive ability to spread rapidly, infiltrating every corner of society, taking root in places where the truth is hard to find. But what lies cannot do is endure. Like fragile glass, they may sparkle and sparkle for a moment, but truth is the solid foundation that stands the test of time. As the world begins to understand that lies are only temporary, they collapse under the weight of their own falsehood, eventually crumbling in a way that exposes their true nature. When that moment comes, the truth, which has always been firm and unshakable, remains unchanged. For the elect, seeing the collapse of these lies is both painful and liberating. It was never easy to carry the burden of knowing what was true, while others lived in the comfort of their illusions. Now, as the lies unravel, You see how the pieces of the world fall into place. The truth that you have clung to for so long is finally revealed for all to see. You have never been wrong, and you have never faltered. You knew all along that time would eventually catch up with lies. Now, as these falsehoods crumble, the truth remains strong. The collapse of lies is a powerful reminder of the resilience of truth. It teaches us that no matter how loud the lies scream, the quiet force of truth will always prevail. And when the dust settles, when the last vestiges of deception are swept away, it will be the chosen ones who will stand forward as bearers of this truth. They have always been right, and now the world finally needs to recognize that. There was a time when you were invisible. You have spoken, warned, shared your wisdom, but no one listened. The world ignored him, disregarding his ideas as nothing more than background noise in their own lives. You were too ahead of your time, too far beyond their reach for them to understand. But now the world can no longer afford to ignore it. Finally, they realize that you were always right. The lessons you've taught, the wisdom you've shared, it's all coming back into focus. You can no longer deny what you once chose to ignore. It's a curious feeling, going from being ignored and disregarded to suddenly being the person everyone turns to. However, for the chosen ones, this change is not about pride or vindication. It is about the recognition of the truth, something you have known for so long. You didn't speak to be seen. He spoke to make a difference, to guide others to a place of understanding. Now, as the world awakens to what you've always known, there's a quiet satisfaction in knowing that your efforts weren't in vain. The fact that they finally realized it speaks volumes about the nature of truth. The truth does not need to scream to be heard. She simply waits patiently for the right moment to be recognized. And when that moment comes, those who once ignored it find themselves struggling to achieve what they should have known from the beginning. But for you, the chosen one, this is just another affirmation that you have always been in control. Patience is not an easy thing to cultivate for many. In a world that values speed and instant results, waiting for something to develop can feel like an eternity. However, for the chosen ones, patience is not a burden, it is a fortress. The wisdom to wait, to allow things to unfold at their own pace, is a rare and powerful gift. It's not about running to the finish line, but about understanding that the journey itself has meaning. In those moments of stillness, when the world around them seems to move in quick motion, the chosen ones stand firm, knowing that all things happen in due time. Perseverance is another hidden stronghold of the chosen ones. They don't give up, even when the world seems to be against them. They understand that setbacks are only part of the process, and they continue to move forward with an unwavering faith in their purpose. It is this combination of patience and perseverance that has led them to get through the darkest of times. They have faced storms, rejections, and yet they remain unshaken. This strength has been their guiding light in the most difficult times. It's not about rushing to get ahead, but about knowing that every step, no matter how slow, is part of the big journey. The world may have doubted them, but now, as everything falls into place, they see that their patience and perseverance is exactly what brought them to this moment of victory. They never gave up, and now the truth is theirs to claim. One question lingers in the minds of many. How did they know? How did the chosen ones see what no one else achieved? The answer is simple. They trusted their intuition, their inner knowing, and their unwavering belief in truth. They did not rely on external validation or the opinions of others. They heard the silent voice within themselves, the one that saw the bigger picture, the voice that spoke even when the world was full of noise. This inner knowledge is not something you were born with. It is something they have cultivated over time. They learned to trust their instincts, to observe their surroundings, and to make decisions based on the deepest truths they saw. They understood that clarity is not always obvious. Sometimes it is hidden under layers of complexity, but they knew how to see through the fog, cut through the noise, and find the truth that others were ignorant of. Now, as the world catches up, it's clear that the chosen ones have always known. They were never lost, never insecure. They had the key to the answers long before anyone even asked the questions. And as the world awakens to the truth, the chosen ones stand as silent guides, those who have seen it all come to pass. They always knew, and now the world knows it too. Being ahead of the curve often means walking down a lonely path. As the world around you continues with its familiar rhythms, you are out of sync, moving at a pace that seems disconnected from everyone else. For the chosen ones, this isolation is a reality they have learned to accept. It is the feeling of being alone in your understanding, of carrying a vision that others simply cannot understand. There are times when you wonder if you're so far ahead that the distance between you and the world is too great to bridge. But in these moments of isolation, there is clarity. You see things more clearly than anyone else, and while it may feel lonely, it's a powerful form of solitude, a space where you can listen to your own thoughts and align with your deepest truths. Loneliness does not come from a lack of support, but from a difference in perspective. While others are caught up in the noise of everyday life, you see patterns, make connections, and understand truths that seem to be out of their reach. This isolation is not a punishment, it's a gift. It gives you the space to think deeply, explore new ideas, and prepare for a future that others haven't yet imagined. Being ahead requires patience and strength, because it's not easy to stand your ground when no one else seems to understand. But eventually, that isolation will turn into admiration. The world will catch up, and what once seemed like loneliness will become recognition. The same distance between you and others will become the bridge that connects you. They will look to you, not just for answers, but for the wisdom you have accumulated throughout your solitary journey. The isolation of being ahead is only temporary. It is a stepping stone to becoming the guide of others who are finally ready to listen. There is a universal truth that can never be avoided, the moment when the world must face what it has avoided. The inevitable awakening will come, whether the world is ready for it or not. The chosen ones have always known this truth. The inevitable will unfold. No matter how much the world tries to ignore you, hide from you, or deny you, reality will eventually knock on your door. It is inevitable. Awakening is the moment when the fog lifts, when illusions are shattered, and when the truth can no longer be denied. For the chosen ones, this awakening is not a surprise. It was always part of the plan. Even though no one else had predicted it, they knew that time would eventually catch up with the lies, and that the time would come when the world would wake up and realize that it was wrong. It's a humbling experience to witness how others finally see what you've always seen. Awakening is not only a personal victory, but it is the moment when everyone begins to realize that there was more to the world than they imagined, more truths, more depth, more possibilities. When the awakening comes, it is a powerful force. People will begin to question everything they once believed to be true. They will seek guidance, clarity. And for those who have seen everything before it happened, it is time to be firm and prepared. You knew that this time would come, and now you are ready to guide others through it. Awakening is not something to be feared, it is something to be embraced, because with it comes a new world, a world that the chosen ones are prepared to navigate with grace and strength. The chosen ones have never sought glory and have never had to prove themselves. Their reward for being right is not a noisy celebration or a public acknowledgement. No, the real reward lies in the quiet victory of knowing that the truth has been revealed. It is the satisfaction of standing firm in your beliefs, even when no one else could see what you saw. Those chosen did not seek recognition or applause. They walked the path because it was the right one, not because they expected to be praised. And now that the world is waking up to what they've always known, the reward feels less like a triumph and more like a peaceful, quiet realization that they've always been on the right side of history. This quiet victory is humble. There is no need to boast or shout, "I told you so." Truth once revealed is its own reward. It speaks for itself. And those who were once skeptical or dismissive are now faced with undeniable proof of what the chosen one saw before it was possible to see. Even if it wasn't even visible to the rest of the world, the reward isn't in the praise, but in the sense of peace that comes from knowing that you've stayed true to yourself regardless of the obstacles. Victory lies in the unwavering belief that you were right, and now the world knows it too. For the chosen ones, the reward also manifests itself in the form of transformation. It's not just about winning in the eyes of others, but about winning internally. They find strength, resilience, and inner peace, knowing that they have been guided by something greater than fame or fortune. True victory is not external recognition, but internal knowledge that the truth has come full circle. There was a time when they doubted you. They looked at you suspiciously, thinking you were wrong or even foolish. His clarity was seen as confusion, his vision as fantasy. They laughed at his ideas, despised his wisdom, and called him naive. But time has a curious way of changing things. Slowly but surely, the world began to change. And with each passing moment, his doubts grew into something deeper. As the truth began to unfold, you moved from doubt to despair, from despair to understanding what has always been so clearly visible to you. Now, you're in a place where you need the answers, the same answers you've always had. The realization begins to be born in them that you have never been wrong. What once seemed impossible, what they once ridiculed, is now what they seek to understand. It is a humbling experience for those who rejected his ideas. Now they are forced to confront the truth they have ignored, and in doing so they find themselves dealing with their own inadequacies. For the chosen ones, this shift from doubt to despair is not about pride, but about understanding that it is part of the process. This is the inevitable cycle of truth. It has always been like this. Those who once doubted now seek the guidance you have always offered. They are turning to you not out of obligation, but out of a newfound respect for the wisdom you have always carried with you. Thank you from the heart for accompanying me on this journey of discovery and transformation. Your presence here is no coincidence. You are part of something much bigger and more meaningful. Every word shared, every reflection is meant to guide you toward the manifestation of your deepest desires. Thank you for your trust and for being part of this mission. Together, we are building a future filled with truth, clarity, and fulfillment. Keep shining with the light you carry within you, and remember that you are always on the right path. See you in the next video.